with the newly announced triple rerun banner for the first half of 2.5, bringing the total amount of banners to a record amount of 6 for this patch, 12 if you count the light cone ones also. I decided an emergency video to navigate you to make the right decision was in order, and today I will be the only one presenting as my worse half is dealing with some issues with his mic, which were totally not caused by me. And let's be honest, you're better off with just me alone anyway. Therefore, let's get right into it, starting with the units. For the first phase, we will have the option to choose between Black Swan, Kafka, and Robin. Black Swan and Kafka make up the core of the dot archetype of the meta, as well as the relatively recently formed team between them and Acheron. Both of them have identical performance in all game modes, mainly because they are pretty much glued to the hip with each other, as their kits are highly synergistic with one another, and also make up for some great damage potential at their base level, with the ceiling increasing with each vertical investment you are putting into them. If you are planning on building a dot team, they are the meta dot team right now, as you will need to add only a sustain option and a support option, or even a third DPS slot, and you are good to go. So, if you're planning to build a competitive team for all game modes, rolling on both of them or the one you are missing is the way to go. If you are running low on funds and can afford only one of them, then I would say Kafka is the preferred one to go for from the two, as she is the backbone for the dot archetype currently, while Black Swan can be looked at as the muscles. But going for Black Swan instead is not the end of the world, as she can also be slotted as a blast defense downpella in multiple teams outside the traditional dot teams. Robin was a bit overlooked by multiple players when she launched, but she has quickly gained the recognition she deserved over the past few patches, as more follow-up units were introduced and more people started to realize how broken a 100% action advance is for your entire team, as she basically enabled a numerous number of teams to be able to zero-cycle the memory of chaos. Also, she is not just the go-to option for follow-up teams, but you can also use her in dot teams and traditional crit teams as well. As such, she has quickly become one of the most universally strong amplifiers you can add to your account, and she has tremendous future-proof potential, as I'm not quite sure how you can power creep a 100% team-wide action advance ability with great uptime buffs as well. For the second phase, we have Topaz, who, if Kafka can be considered the backbone of the dot archetype, can be the muscle for the follow-up archetype. This is due to the big 50% follow-up damage bonus she will provide for all allies, as well as the crit damage buffs if you go for her signature or her E1. Apart from the buffs she brings to the table, she also has a high attack frequency, which in follow-up archetypes is one of the main requirements to activate certain abilities. This high attack frequency also means that she makes for an amazing secondary or even main DPS unit, which will further boost your overall team damage. Since you basically can see that all of the available options are very good and will make a great addition to everyone's account, you may ask, okay, but I can't pull all of them. I can pull only one of them. Which one should that be? Don't worry, I got the solution for you. If we are speaking the scenario where you are missing all of them, I would go with this priority. Robin first, as she has the highest general use on everyone's account, and we do not have another unit that can do what she does, while for the other ones we do have alternatives. Followed by Kafka, as she makes the dot archetype make or break, and she will only become better with each future dot unit released, followed by Black Swan, as she will complete your dot team, and she can also be used as a supportive secondary DPS through her defense down and by pairing her with certain light cones, and lastly Topaz, as while she is currently the only follow-up buffer with damage, the follow-up units can survive without her until you get her eventually to further boost up the team's damage. If you are not interested in the dot units, choose Robin over Topaz, as again, Robin will boost your overall team damage more than Topaz will, and she also has a higher number of teams she can use. What about if you have all of them and are looking to invest in their eidolons first? Then it would be Robin's E1, followed by Black Swan's E1, followed by Kafka's E1, and lastly, Topaz E1. For the 4-star units available, we have Moze, which is basically a budget Topaz unit, Asta, which is still a good support unit, especially at higher eidolons, and Luka, which is still the only physical dot unit we have in the game. For the second phase, Guinaifen will offer you a decent debuffer and fire dot unit, while the other two are unfortunately not that worth going for. As such, if we also take the 4-star lineup into consideration, you would be better off summoning the units from the first phase. Moving on to the light cones. Kafka's light cone is entirely skippable, as she does well enough with the 4-star Goodnight light cone. Black Swan's is also not that worth it, as she can also work fine with either the 4-star options tutorial and its Showtime light cones, or if you pulled Jiao's signature, you can easily use that on her. Robin's light cone, while being a great one, is also not that important to her, especially if you got the 4-star Journey light cone. Alternatively, if you missed it, she can use Bronya's signature. And lastly, Topaz's signature is, in my opinion, the most worthwhile one to get your hands on, as this one can be used not just by her, but also by multiple other units, such as Dr. Ratio or even Fake Xiao herself. The strong appeal for this one is that its effect is appreciated by more than one team archetype, that being both the follow-up archetype and the crit-based debuff teams, as the tame effect from it will count as a debuff applied on the enemy. For the 4 stars lineup, the first phase has the better options, as 2 out of the 3 available ones are really good and get even better with the additional copies you can get. The second phase light cones are not quite on the same level, with the exception possibly being the new option, but more on that in a later video. So for the weapon banners, my recommended order would be Topaz's signature over Robin's over Black Swan's over Kafka's, but if you also take the 4-star lineup, then I would probably pick Robin's signature banner over Topaz's, as that one has a better lineup. And with all of that out of the way, I feel I need to also address the elephant in the room, and that is that although this patch's banners are extremely good, borderline on evil on how good they are, you must also keep in mind the following 2 things. First, Acheron and Aventurine are both due for a rerun, which might easily happen in the next patch, and both of them are sitting right at the top of the meta, so you best think it through how you're going to manage your pulls if you're aiming for those 2 as well. And lastly, to make matters even worse, these 2 goofballs were more or less announced from the 2.0 livestream. As the developers said, Tingyun's storyline will be resolved, and Sunday has basically been the poster boy, man, fallen angel, whatever you want him to be of the Penacony storyline, and I doubt they will release him outside of Penacony. And since we are basically a couple of patches away from 3.0 and the new world, these 2 can also be announced in the next 1 or 2 patches. So if you are also planning on going for them and Acheron and Aventurine and some of the units from 2.5 and are an F2P, then all I can say is that unless you are lucky enough to win the lottery twice or have 1,000 pulls saved up, you're basically screw them. And with that positive thought in mind, I think this is a good enough point to end this quick video. I will leave the comment section open for everyone to lay out their feelings on this upcoming banner predicament we are currently in. Think of this video's comment section as a group therapy session where you can all take your turn and name whatever positive words of encouragement you may have.
Ratio, I'm back from the store. Man, you really should pay more attention to your chalk supply. Wait, are you recording the 2.5 video without me? I knew this store run was all a ruse. Get off the mic, this video was supposed to be my video.
Calm down, or I will be forced to calm you down. Oh well, you forced my hand. Now take a nice nap. Now where was I before he came back? Ah yes, the outro. I wish you all good luck on your pulls, and until next time, I am Professor Veritas Ratio, and remember, stay smart and sexy.